Welcome to the Capital One Auto Navigator Champions League match preview. Here are the results after the first leg of the round of 16. PSG picked up a 1-0 win at home against the 13-time champions Real Madrid. Elsewhere, City thrashed Sporting 5-0 away from home. Klopp's side beat Inter 2-0 in Milan. And elsewhere, the reigning champions beat Lille 2-0 at Stamford Bridge. And then 4 games in total now sit on a knife edge heading into the second leg, which gets started in just 1 week's time. Well, it's just been a fantastic campaign so far, and when we reflect on the first leg and look ahead to the second leg, I know, Ian, you just can't overlook RB Salzburg drawing against Bayern Munich, and they probably could have had more in that game, couldn't they?
You lost me at Bayern Munich, Poppy. Didn't hear anything else you said. Yeah, listen, I was a little disappointed with the way Bayern played in that first game. Obviously, they created a number of good chances, but the quality was just simply lacking in the final third. And I watched them play against Bochum just before that game. They were desperately disappointed in that match. They lost that game 4-2. And it's not necessarily been the best of months for Julian Nagelsmann. A lot of injuries to deal with. Trying to find his best 11, including Manuel Neuer, has been pretty difficult. However, this game, I think, is set up perfectly for the second leg. I will say this though, Poppy, the last-minute goal that Bayern Munich scored in Salzburg to make it 1-1, that was massive. That, in my opinion, puts Bayern Munich into the next round. I love the way Salzburg play. I love Jessie's tactics. They love to attack. They like to cause problems, and they were certainly better than I expected. But I think the King, Kingsley Coman, scoring that goal right there to make it 1-1 gives Bayern Munich the advantage. Now you go back to Munich. Now you've got, obviously, home field advantage. If you look at them at Champions League at home this season, they won all 3. They've scored 13 goals. They've only conceded 2 from those 3 group games. Now they're set up perfectly for this second leg to really go through. I still want to see more from Bayern Munich though. I want to see them be more fluid going forward. I want to see them be more clinical in front of goal. I want to see them be better defensively, because if they play like this all the way through, even if they do get past Salzburg, somewhere across the knockout stages, they're going to find themselves out of the competitions. So they need to improve. Nagelsmann needs to get better. But this one is the tie I'm looking forward to. I can't wait for the second leg. What are you looking forward to seeing, Jimmy?
Yeah, Ian, I love that matchup. And if RB Salzburg can score first, I think they got a chance. Bayern Munich have given up the first goal in 3 of their last 4 games, or been down at halftime in 3 of the last 4 games. So they could have some work to do. That could put some pressure on Bayern, who know to have a little cracks, especially defensively. But I'm really looking forward to PSG heading to Madrid to take on Real Madrid, because I don't know if there was a team that was more disappointing than Madrid in the first leg. They just really lackluster. Didn't really commit with too many numbers in Paris, and I really feel like PSG are going to really be kicking themselves if they end up losing this tie over 2 legs, because they should have got more than 1 goal in that particular game. Kylian Mbappe had to steal the points, or I say points. They didn't really have points. It's a 2-legged affair here, but they steal the result in the first one, and what a tremendous goal it was. He had 2 goals this past weekend against Saint-Etienne. Leo Messi had 2 assists, so they're coming into this game in good form. But I do want to remind everybody that Madrid had maybe a 70% Karim Benzema in leg 1 because he was coming off an injury, had been out for a few weeks. Now he's back, he's in fine form. They've scored 4 goals in the last 2 games, Real Madrid, leading into this one where they play Real Sociedad this upcoming weekend, and then into playing against PSG. But Karim Benzema has been involved in all 4 of those goals, 2 goals and 2 assists, and his partnership with Vinicius Jr. is excellent. I mean, the way they look for each other, they've been together now 4 years, and they just have that intimate understanding, that nonverbal understanding of how to create opportunities. And so because PSG didn't get a lot of goals in the first leg, I think that gives Madrid a chance. They're in good form, and I could see Madrid, who are the most successful team in this competition's history, figuring out a way to get through to the quarterfinals.
Yes, Jimmy, we'll have to wait a little bit to see what happens, because definitely it's not the Real Madrid that we've seen for many years. It's the Real Madrid that it's got 13 trophy of this Champions League on their stands. And, well, I'm looking forward to that game as well. But definitely one of the games that I enjoy very much, it was the one between Benfica against Ajax. The Ajax that we all praised very much during the whole week, how Ten Hag has that team with so much talent up front, with Tadic, with Anthony, with Haller, top scorer of the competition, but arrived to Portugal and they struggled so much. It's true that they were ahead on the score for 2 times, but Nelson Verissimo, I think, that knew that at certain points of the game, he will have chances. He will have space to make his players run. we got a front with Ramos, with Darwin, with Rafa Silva, players who in counter-attack, they are very well. And it's true that they struggle, that they have to suffer during many minutes during the game. But definitely it's one of those special teams that they know how to play this game. They can hold, they can be patient, and then use those quick players to make good counter-attack. We saw them against Barcelona in one of the best games that I've seen this team and all the teams in the competition in a fantastic win against Barcelona Football Club. And it's not going to be different. I think that even though that we all know that Ajax at home is going to be very strong and powerful, and of course with the crowd is going to be a team very, very difficult to beat, I think that this Benfica has got chances. It got chances because Ajax likes to commit players forward. Ajax likes to open spaces because the players up front needs to receive the ball. And I think in that occasion, Benfica is going to use it and going to hurt them again. So be careful with this Benfica side because definitely is one of the teams that I think that I'm enjoying the most at the moment, and it's going to be tough to beat. So looking forward to that game as well in the second leg.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracking matchup, isn't it? And Sebastian Haller, of course, he scored at both ends of the park, didn't he, in the last one? He's so desperate to score goals. We'll see how that one unfolds. Well, plenty to look forward to in that competition, but also a lot of headlines to come from the Premier League this past weekend, including a 4-0 thrashing for Leeds United at home against Tottenham. That proved to be the final straw for Leeds manager Marcelo Bielsa at the club, as they announced that they'd be parting ways after 3 years of him at the helm. And for more on this, Ben Jacobs now joins us to discuss. Ben, we're hearing that it's going to be the American Jesse Marsch to take over. Is it just a matter of time now until this news is confirmed?
It is, Poppy, just a matter of time. In the last hour, Jesse Marsch, as I understand it, has received confirmation of his work permit in the United Kingdom. And that was the last part of this deal before Leeds United can announce the American as their manager. And the other factor in when Marsch is announced is Leeds wanting to give a bit of breathing space, particularly across social media spaces, for Leeds fans to vent and grieve, because Marcelo Bielsa was a cult figure and there's still a lot of love and respect for what he's done for Leeds United, despite recent form and the amount of goals they've conceded and the manner in which they're falling towards the bottom three in the Premier League. Doesn't undermine in Leeds United fans' eyes the job that Bielsa's done, which means that Jesse Marsch is going to come in with a big job, because he's not only going to have to get results quickly to make sure that Leeds continue to steer clear of the relegation zone, but he's going to have to win over the fan base as well. So as things currently stand, Marsch is likely to either be announced late tonight Eastern time or first thing tomorrow morning, and then he's got just a handful of games to try and keep Leeds out of trouble.
Well, we mentioned it just be a matter of time. Ian, are you looking at your phone now as Ben's talking?
Yes, Ben, I can confirm. Leeds United have just confirmed. They announced the appointment of Jesse Marsch as our new head coach, pending international clearance. You nailed it right there, Ben, and delighted for Jesse Marsch, and obviously a great moment for us right here that it's just been announced.
Yeah, absolutely. Breaking news as we are live. Jimmy, I'm coming to you next because, of course, this is all fantastic, isn't it? Jesse Marsch going to Leeds, the American, but is stepping into what is a very tough task. Leeds, not too many points above that red line of relegation.
Yeah, Poppy, first and foremost, I'm excited for a friend of the show and friend in real life, Jesse Marsch. This is going to be a huge opportunity and a chance to totally redeem himself after RB Leipzig didn't go all that well. I just want to say, though, I feel like in some capacity we've broken the glass ceiling for American players on the male side. On the female side, we absolutely dominate. It's what we do. But on the male side, we got Christian Pulisic at Chelsea. We got Serginho Dest at Barcelona. Weston McKennie at Juventus. Ricardo Pepi going to Augsburg for $20 million. Like, we're starting to break through and earn more trust and change the perspective of American players. But American managers is different. Bob Bradley had one stint. He's the only American manager to ever be in the Premier League, and they gave him 85 days. They gave him 11 games, 2 wins, 7 losses, 2 draws, and he had a bad team to work with. They didn't give him any time to try to figure it out. So I really hope that Leeds gives him time. They only have 12 games remaining in the season. That's not a lot. However, he does welcome back Liam Cooper. That's going to help them defensively. He's a center back for them. They have Calvin Phillips, English international, who should be coming back, and Patrick Bamford, who Poppy knows quite well as a family member, up top. And when you add to the spine of that team, it's going to make a big difference. Now, what I really like is that he actually plays very similarly to what Bielsa likes to do. So he's going to really insert himself and hopefully just give that positive mental attitude that I think that team needs to maybe turn it around. But they've got a tough week coming up. They got away to Leicester, home to Aston Villa. and then home to Norwich. So there's some big games coming up for Jesse Marsch, and he's going to have to get in there and make changes right away. Otherwise, these fans are going to be wanting Bielsa back.
Definitely, Jimmy. I totally agree with you, but I think that Jesse is ready for it. We had him not long ago. He was discussing about some of the teams, and a lot of points that he makes all the time is about the intensity, the dynamism of the teams, and he likes that way of playing. And, well, I think Leeds proved that he's one of those special teams. Ben was mentioning about that he has to earn the confidence, the trust of the whole supporters. I have no doubt at all, because the way he talks himself, the way he expresses to the media, the way he links with the player, I think he's been fantastic. And you've seen for the teams and the players that he's been following him for the past 2 years. Results sometimes they don't work that well, but definitely I think it's one of the special managers that they are front that he's got experience. And also some of the people he's going to be very interested when that he arrives are the young players at Leeds. I think he proves many times, Jesse, that he likes to give chances to the young players. So I'm sure that all of those young players they are over there are looking forward to have him there, because chances they're going to have for sure in the new coming weeks and months, because he likes to change things. He likes to move things. So looking forward to see what he can do for the Leeds.
Yeah, I agree with you, Lucho. I think obviously the fit you have to make sure works for both sides. Does it work for Leeds United, bringing in a head coach and manager like Jesse Marsch? Tactically, does it work? Yes, he checks that box. He loves the high intensity, high pressure. He loves working with young players. Does it work for Jesse Marsch? Absolutely, because tactically, if you look, or you even take him out of the Red Bull system and try to put him into a football club, he's probably looking at which football club plays a similar way. Jesse, if you go on YouTube or you go online and look at these videos non-stop about his tactical breakdowns of games and how he coaches, he mentions Bielsa so many times. He's clearly a fan of Bielsa's work. He's clearly a fan of what he does, and he also tries to implement his own ideas. So I certainly hope that the players take to him very quickly. I think it'll be very difficult initially, no. Jimmy made a great point there. The fans are not easy. They're very difficult at Leeds United to satisfy because they want to win. It's a great bunch of supporters, very passionate. They love their football club. They love the history of their football club. But they love, obviously, 100% commitment, passion, and they want to win. And that's what Bielsa brought them. He brought them a successful team until now, until recently. He got them, obviously, promotion, and everyone sort of bought into the Bielsa project, which worked perfectly for both sides. We must not forget that Jesse's in a relegation battle right now, and these big games coming up are massively important. I'm worried about them conceding goals. They've conceded 60 goals from 26 games. That's a major concern. It's something they have to work on immediately. But I think the supporters is what my focus is on right now. They're obviously sad and disappointed that Bielsa is gone, but they seem to be excited from what I'm reading already on social media that Jesse Marsch is coming in. And immediately messages are coming out already saying, you know, none of this anger and aggression is aimed at you, Jesse. This is at the football club for getting rid of Bielsa, who was just iconic at the club. But it is the right decision. Now Jesse Marsch has got his work cut out. But Ben, now the news has been made official. What are your thoughts, obviously, on Jesse Marsch and how he can win over the Leeds United supporters?
Well, I think, first of all, when you mentioned tactics, that's the most interesting question because of the shortness of time between now and the end of the season. And there are some similarities between Bielsa and Jesse Marsch, but the big difference is, although they both press, Marsch doesn't operate on a man-on-man pressing system. It's more zonal. And then the second thing is that he's inheriting a side full of wingers. Leeds United's best player this season has been Rafinha. Jack Harrison has got a big role to play as well. And Marsch historically hasn't played with wingers. So the change tactically is going to be from a 4-1-4-1 where everybody hounds individual players to probably a 4-4-2. And it's known in Marsch's philosophy as a 4-4-2-6 or a 4-4-2 with a double pivot. And what that basically means is that you've got a back four, two defensive midfielders. The other two midfielders are playing in the channel rather than the wing. And then you're heavily reliant on some productivity up front. And that's why with Patrick Bamford injured, Leeds are going to have to find some goals. skills. So Marsch is going to have to get his tactics right. And then, as we can see here, the third American to manage in the Premier League. His record with Leipzig wasn't great, but he shouldn't only be judged on that. The most important stat that we can see at the moment is the 4 trophies that he won with RB Salzburg. And in terms of fitting into Leeds United, it's his confidence. You cannot make a comparison just because they're American with Marsch and Bob Bradley. They've got different philosophies and hugely different personalities. And it's Marsch's forthrightness, it's his confidence, it's his coolness behind closed doors, and it's his ability to inspire that's going to get Leeds out of trouble. And then going forwards, it's his strategic thinking that's why he's been employed. So Leeds haven't just done this on a hunch. Jesse Marsch had a verbal agreement over 2 weeks ago, as I understand it, and was probably always going to join during the summer. Bielsa was privately resigned that his time was up at Leeds United. And Marsch has come in because Leeds United see themselves as an enterprise. And I use the word enterprise because of their links, their 44% ownership with the 49ers. And it's that American model, and it works well with the history of Marsch having come from the Red Bull Group. He knows how to operate in a broader strategic system, which means task 1 is keep Leeds up with guts and fight and passion. And then task 2 is help Leeds evolve as both a football team and a brand. And Leeds United firmly believe that Marsch is the right man for the job.
I love that, Ben. Guts and fight and passion. It's certainly what Jesse brings in abundance, but also that tactical approach, which I love. I love his brain. We witnessed it here, obviously, with Jesse being a part of our UEFA shows. It was fun to watch. And I'm always trying to find, like, what would be the difference between a Bielsa and a Jesse Marsch. Obviously, there's a big reputation on one side, and Jesse's got a big point to prove now for American coaches going forward as well. We want to see that type of success. I think Jesse is very good as a man manager. Communication is absolutely key. When it looks like Bielsa obviously was well loved in amongst the camp, you can see the messages from the players all talking about Bielsa's departure. But what Jesse does incredibly well is he communicates so well. He brings confidence to a lot of these young players. They know exactly what they want to do, what they need to do, and how to get the job done. I think that's why he's been appointed. I think he just knows how to communicate really well with the players, where to me, many times, and I've watched Bielsa throughout his career, not necessarily always the easiest of coaches to be able to communicate with, and especially when he's speaking a different language than one that is shared inside that locker room. So I hope very quickly Jesse finds his way there. Yeah, but as to Bielsa's point, I mean, not too many managers around the world lose 6-0, then 4-0, and are still clapped off by their own fans at the end. But as Ben just said, Jimmy, this is a lot of pressure, isn't it? And he's got to get these tactics right very quickly. Do you think it's a big risk for Jesse to take a job like this, considering he's just coming from a Leipzig team where he only had 5 months in charge?
Yeah, it's a great question, Poppy. I would say a little bit, especially because, as we're hearing from Ben, he already had the job lined up. So imagine inheriting the team, and maybe they stayed up but didn't get relegated. He could take the team from there and have a proper summer, maybe have a couple people he wants to sign. Brendan Aronson would be a nice choice, if you ask me. So there is one thing, though, I also like what Ben said about the difference in defending, because they've given up 60 goals in 26 games, as Ian correctly stated. That's just embarrassing for a team of that stature, of that kind of talent, of that level, and with Bielsa as their coach. And I feel like their switch from man marking to zonal defending is going to help them out a lot. I think we'll give them that new manager bounce in some capacity, because they're like, all right, this feels a little bit different. I'm excited about this. Let's see if we can just get a clean sheet and start from there. But I think that team shape and how they move defensively could really give them confidence going the other way, and where they're trying to pick up the ball and where they're trying to transition. If they just sit back and absorb, sit on top of the box and park the bus, as it were, that's going to be a little bit harder because you still have 80 yards to go forward and try to score. But if they can try to win it in the middle block or higher up the field and do it in a way that's a little bit more zonal as opposed to the man marking that Bielsa preferred, then I think they could find themselves in good situations. But until they figure out that defensive side of the ball, they're not going to win anything. Yeah, that Bielsa style of play ultimately cost them, didn't they? Lucho, from a player's perspective, how are you feeling right now? You're in the locker room, you're not doing very well in the league, but now all of a sudden you've got this new manager coming in. What do you think the vibes at Leeds are right now?
Fresh, Poppy. I'm sure that they are fresh. We are talking a lot about discipline, about tactics, about how he can change, a player who can come. But at the end, sometimes it's just even good just to make a change, to try to send a different message. For the players, sometimes it's very difficult to be and continue every single day working the same way. And I can tell that Bielsa is a fantastic manager, but he's tough to work with. He's a manager who is very involved very much, who is very tight. Sometimes you guys are talking about that man management, the closeness with the players, and it's very difficult to be like this for many years. He's been there already. So sometimes it's good just results are not well. That doesn't matter that Bielsa is a bad coach or he's not doing something right. Probably he's been doing the same thing for many years. And at the moment, sometimes it's good just to change it for the players. The whole bunch of players is going to feel fresh and he's going to give something extra. He's a new manager, so you're going to get ready. You want to play. You want to be in the 11 started as soon as the manager comes. So you're going to start giving even 110%, giving something different because you want to get involved. Everybody start from zero. Everybody start with a new start. And Jesse Marsch, of course, is going to have a base. He's going to read how the team plays. He's going to read how they are working at the moment. But he's going to have chances for everybody, and everybody has to be ready. So I think that it's going to be just a good change just because of that, because you move around, you move on the side, what you have felt in the past few weeks with all the defeats, the score received, and you start fresh right now. And it's a team who has been winning from the beginning of the season. It's a team who is built to play in Premier League. So I'm sure that the quality is over there. You just have to reorganize it a little bit and, of course, clean the mindset and try to bring a new mentality.
Yeah, well, obviously the rumours were out there, and Jimmy just pointed out Brendan Aronson's name was thrown around with Leeds United before that transfer window closed. Already you're starting to see these types of players linked with Leeds United because they fit into their philosophy, the ideas, the tactical breakdown of how they want to play their game, and as does Jesse Marsch. But let's not forget that this is also a very good business move for Leeds United. Not only are you getting a very good coach who's got something very important to prove, that he is good enough to compete at the biggest and highest level, and the Premier League, in my opinion, is the best and biggest club competition in the world. Certainly financials tell us that much. But I think that you're also looking at the business end of having an American as a head coach and potentially American players at your football club. You open yourself up to being supported by so many Americans out there. So financially, it makes sense for Leeds United as well. And I really, really hope that Jesse gets it right, because he has such an important task, Poppy. It's not just the financials. It's about him being successful for the next generation of coaches who want to go and coach at the highest level. There's a laugh and a joke right now when an American's been talked about coaching at the highest level. And Jesse's already started to work on changing that, doing so well in the Champions League. All these little clips, the videos that come out of his team talk at Salzburg when he played against Liverpool, these are outstanding clips that change your perspective, and certainly the Europeans' perspective when it comes to American coaches. But the only way to really be successful and really create that path for the next generation of players and coaches who want to coach at the highest level is to succeed, win over the fans, and do a great job.
Yeah, results are paramount, aren't they? So very quickly to wrap this chat up, do we see Leeds United staying up? Jimmy, yes or no? I'll start with you. They're 2 points above relegation at the minute. Do they stay up under Jesse Marsch?
How could you? 100%. We're backing one of our own, Poppy. Yes, 100%. He's going to get them to stay up.
Me too, Poppy, me too. Go 100% confident in what Jesse Marsch can do. I enjoy very much listening to him talking about his tactics, and I have no doubt that they got so much talent on the field. So, yeah, 100% staying.
Leeds' motto is marching on together, and I think we're going to see marching on together. And I think that Jesse Marsch with Leeds, they've got a great run of fixtures in March month, so I think Leeds will stay up. And of course, if they just have waited and done it tomorrow, I could have also used Marsh Madness as a pun as well.
Ben, you're just stealing the show once again. Honestly. I thought Jimmy Conrad was going to roll up in the show with a Leeds United shirt on, but I do see the sign behind him already had some love for Jesse Marsch right there. This squad of players is too good, in my opinion, to go down. They just need a few tactical switches and a bit of confidence, and I think you'll see a rejuvenated Leeds United players. Let's not forget what Bielsa did with these players. He trained them like you wouldn't believe. And I can only imagine some of those players are breathing a sigh of relief that they don't have to go into practice and do crazy running and crazy murder ball when it comes to training. And then Jesse's going to walk in and ask you to do it all over again, but maybe with a bit more confidence. So I think they stay up, Poppy. They're too good to go down. All
right, so will Leeds march on together? We will see. That's all to come in the Premier League. But let's not forget, we've got plenty of action still to come as well in Serie A. And a reminder, Paramount Plus is your your home, you can watch every single match live and on demand. And coming up Tuesday, Inter and Milan will go head-to-head in the Coppa Italia semi-final. Then on Wednesday, it's Fiorentina and Juve, and the return of Dusan Vlahovic. We'll have all the pre-match build-up for you, plus our very own Marco Messina live at the ground. So make sure you join us for Serie A on Paramount+.